We got Warriors and Heat. And the conversation we had yesterday got into a heated conversation about Kuminga and whether or not he should close or whatnot. He's been closing most games. I agree that he should close most games, but I didn't think he had it with Sunday in crunch time. Warriors are trying to win a game. What do you want him to do? But I'm looking here at Salvador on YouTube, and he goes, the Warriors should sit Curry the rest of the season. Let their rookies play the rest of the games. So right now the Warriors are one game up in the loss column on the Houston Rockets. And I get it. You may not think they're going to, if they do make the play in, they're probably going to, most fans think they're going to lose to the Lakers in LA and be going home anyway. So you're only playing one extra game. But are there fans out there, 888-957-9570, who want to basically punt on the season? And when I say punt, I'm saying, hey, Wiggins, you're only going to see 15 minutes. Hey, Clay, you're only going to see 10, 15 minutes. Hey, CP3, you're only going to see 10, 15 minutes. Hey, Curry, we're not going to play you down the stretch. What does that look like? What do you mean guys like Salvador or whoever wants to see the youngsters close all the games? Do you want to punt on a season?
Well, I think
I'm not willing to do that.
I want to make a distinction. Maybe that's what this individual is asking for, but I disagree. I want to see Kuminga finish games. But I don't know if right now Pajemski and TJD, depending on who's out there and who's playing well, who's available and what the situation is, maybe they close. But no, it should not be baked in that I'm going with all the young guys. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to win games. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to win games. But I'm also trying to develop this one guy, right, in Jonathan Kuminga for the closing role because I want him to be able to take the next evolutionary step in his career so that I understand what I have for next year because I also have to have a big-term goal. I look at this like any major corporation, right? I'm trying to develop for the future, but I'm trying to make profit now. Right now, and profit in this particular case is winning games. You're not punting on the season. There's too much money involved.
Yeah.
And also you owe it to the Clay, Dre, Steph combination to allow the whole thing to win or lose on its own accord. You don't self-sabotage it. No, that's not. I don't think that's what they'll do, and nor do I think that's what they should do. Now, Wiggins, I put him on a different level than those other guys. He's clearly not a youngster. But I also don't think he has the earned equity of the core.
Even after winning the championship a couple years ago? Did he lose the equity because he's been away from the team for the personal reasons?
He's played himself out of it. I look at Kevon Looney. Who has more franchise equity between Wiggins and Kevon Looney? Right now, Wiggins is a better player than Kevon Looney, but Kevon Looney means a lot to the fans and to this organization and the things that he's done. Am I holding what he did 2, 3, 4 years ago up high to make a case for why he should continue to play now? No. So I draw the distinction right there.
Now, Kuminga, and look, I thought a lot about our conversation yesterday about, Kuminga should have been playing last year, and I thought he did play, especially when Wiggins left for 2 months. Kuminga got a lot of playing time, and we saw him ascending dead, which is why it was kind of frustrating to see Wiggins come back and Kuminga lose all his minutes and not get a lot of rope. But I do believe he played. But you brought up Kawhi yesterday. I was thinking about it at home and thinking about all the youngsters who played on championship contenders, and I think about Kuminga's inexperience. He was a raw prospect coming out from the G League Ignite. There's no doubt. He was raw, but you could see the talent oozing out. When I look at Kawhi and that San Antonio situation, I wasn't thinking about it in real time because we're in a heated debate, but you think about Kawhi, he was a Sweet 16 player with San Diego State who lost to UConn. I believe they lost to Kimba that year. Could have been Kimba or could have been Shabazz Napier. I forget which guard he lost to in the Sweet 16. It was down at Arrowhead in the Pond. Mm-hmm. San Diego State lost that game.
With Kawhi?
With Kawhi Leonard.
Jimmer Fredette, BYU.
When he didn't lose to Jimmer.
He did. Not
the tournament. Not the NCAA tournament.
I think he did.
No, he lost to UConn.
Oh, I'll Google it.
Google it. But Kawhi came in a little more experienced defensively. Defensively, Kawhi, his IQ as a team defender was there. And therefore, San Antonio was able to allow him to come slowly, knowing that, hey, you don't have to carry an offensive burden. Right now, we're asking Kuminga to be basically the number 2 option with the starters for a 21-year-old kid. So, but I hear what you're saying, that he should get all the reps, all the experience. I hear that. But sometimes in a game where it's dude, you just went 4-17. You struggled against the Pacers. This team has so many guys who are capable of finishing, which is part of the problem. You don't have a consistent 5 who can finish. I got no problem with Kuminga taking a step back in Minnesota, saying he played 30 minutes.
But I guess where if I get frustrated is I hear you're on like, oh, he is your second most reliable scorer. Well, if that's the case, then it's a contradiction to not have him out there.
But I saw the mistake.
The court gets a little congested.
But I saw the mistakes, and the court was very congested. But I saw the mistakes both offensively and defensively. And you're still trying to win games. You're still trying to get into this playoff play. You're still trying to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Wiggins, I thought, in the game on Sunday, was having a better defensive game than J.K. But we're nitpicking here. The fact is, J.K.'s getting a lot of rope. And we know what type of what J.K. needs to do to improve, but we also know there's some talent there. Can you build around him for the future? I have no idea yet. What does it look like without Steph? But then I start thinking about, all right, this team has the, Orlando, right? Orlando's a matchup. When they play the Magic tomorrow, it's going to be a matchup between the highest payroll and the lowest payroll in the NBA. And Orlando's a better team. Right now, when you look at the records, the Warriors are the 19th best team in the NBA. Think about that. They're the 19th best team in the NBA.
For now.
Yeah, I mean, they can drop. They can drop. What I'm saying. But right now, they're the 19th best team in the NBA. Yeah. So where's this going? Where's this exactly going with the core?
Cancun.
Cancun.
Yeah, I mean, at some point.
At some point, however, when you got big money players on this roster and you may not even make the play-in. So when people say major changes are coming, what are those major changes? Because every dynasty does not end well. The Giants dynasty did not end well. The Harbaugh years did not end well. Yeah. Steve Young's years did not end well. The Chicago Bulls, we watched The Last Dance, did not end well. San Antonio is still recovering from the Duncan, Ginobili, Parker era. They still haven't been able to get back to where they were. The Heatles took a sabbatical for a couple years. I mean, the Boston Celtics. I asked Willie this. a couple weeks ago. So what was it like playing the Celtics in the 80s? He goes in 85, 86, 87. You're going to the Boston Garden. You're like, damn. It's Bird, it's McHale, it's Parrish. We got no shot. Got no shot whatsoever. It's just different. And I started thinking about the Curry, Clay, Draymond, KD years at Oracle Arena where teams came in and they had no shot. But Bully goes, a few years later, when they did get older, and he goes, I had a play where I picked Larry Bird, went down the other end for a layup, and this was like 89. And he's like, damn, these ain't the same Celtics. The R is gone. They need to pivot. They got to start thinking ahead. Same thing with the Great Western Forum. Once Magic left and Worthy left and Kareem left, it's like, oh, these aren't the same old Lakers. R is gone. But all good things come to an end. And I just started thinking yesterday, I was like, damn, we may be at the end game with this current iteration of the Golden State Warriors in the way they play.
Who are the most beloved athletes in Bay Area sports history?
Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, Barry Bonds, Will Clark, Matt Williams.
Okay.
I don't know if Jeff Kidd's
Every
beloved.
single one of those guys that you referenced played on multiple teams.
Exactly.
Every one of them. I don't know why there's this thing like so-and-so needs to retire, in the uniform that they've only worn. And look, it sounds great, but sometimes the interests don't align up. The player's interest, the cycle of where the organization is, the team's interest or what they're looking for in a player. Like Chris Mullin is one of, you talk to people our age, he's one of the greatest Warriors of all time.
Right.
All right. I know we've forgotten because there's been so many great Warrior teams of recent, but like he is the Warriors to me.
Yep.
It's him, it's Al Attles, it's Wilt. You know what I mean? For a lot of people.
Nate Thurman, Rick Barry.
No doubt. There's other people. But like Mully is that guy. He's the symbol. Broke my heart to see Mully go with the Pacers. Did I look at him even a little less?
No.
You know what I said? I was like, it was time. The guy wanted to go win a championship, and we were rooting for him to win a championship, to go away. It stinks.
He almost did.
Tonight, we're going to get Pablo Sandoval's final start at Oracle. Most likely, okay? Pablo Sandoval, not as accomplished as any of those guys you referenced, but very lovable. And there was a period of time, maybe Giants fans viewed him a little different in terms of like, oh, he left us and blah, blah. But as time has gone on, I think the majority of Giants fans, you bring up Pablo's name and they think fondly of him. I see Frank Gore. Frank Gore to me is the epitome of what being a 49er means. Is Frank Gore any less of a 49er? Because he played for like 8,000 teams.
Ronnie Lott played for the Jets and the Raiders. People forget that. Jerry Rice played for the Seahawks, Broncos, and the Raiders. Still beloved as a Niner. So
I guess
with
where I'm
that
going,
said, you're saying with Stephen Curry.
Well, not just Steph. I'm just saying in general, like in my heart of hearts, like if it's were a video game, I would love everyone to finish as Warriors.
But it may not happen.
But the reality is it's not feasible.
Well, but not only that, it may not be best for what the Warriors need to accomplish. At some point, look, things are not going to be pretty when Steph Curry decides to walk.
That's obvious, yes.
Like, it's not going to be pretty. There's going to be a rebuilding cycle. There's going to be 3 years where people forget about the Golden State Warriors, and then they'll come back and burst onto the scene with some new young talent, and we'll be talking about life after Curry. But at some point, you had to press the eject button, or you will become the San Francisco Giants of 2018, 19, 2020.
It feels like that's where they're at currently.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
It feels like that.
If they re-sign Klay Thompson, which I get why they would want to. You don't have a lot of shooting on his team. Klay Thompson's still one of the best shooters in this league. It would be hard to let him go, but it may happen. It may happen. But this thing may be over. It may be over. And what we're watching maybe is the beginning of the end as teams have caught up, as the Warriors have battled their 10th place. You heard Draymond Green yesterday or after the game Sunday said, we're still making breakdowns. We're still losing. It's it's not good right now. We're too quiet on defense. This thing, this summer, I believe Stephen Curry, I hate saying this, I don't even want to say this, and this is just me just talking as a fan. It would not surprise me if the Warriors went to Steph Curry and just asked him this summer, what do you want to do? What do you want? What do you want? When you look at the situation, what do you want? Are we closer to a championship? Because it's not an overnight fix. One offseason is not going to fix this. You're not going to just all of a sudden catapult from 10 to 1 unless you're making multiple trades for multiple stars. And I don't know. I don't see the avenue in that. I don't know who's going to be available. I don't know who's going to be on the block. But at some point, you're going to have to pivot. And is that pivot point now? Have we reached that pivot point?
When you say, what do you want? Do you mean to stay a Warrior or not?
Yeah, what do you want? What do you want?
I don't think Warrior fans are ready to have that conversation.
They're not. But it may be a conversation we have to face. Because are we getting closer and closer? Like, the young guys are not ready to help win that championship. They're ready to help play hard, win a couple regular season games. But you know what? It is hard in the playoffs. Like, to ask Pajimski, who played, 30-something games in his last season in college, we're already in the 60s, folks. We're going to Game 70s tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually, Game 70 was Sunday. At some point, you hit a rookie wall. At some point, you're going to struggle. He's never been in this situation. So to ask him to help carry a load, to ask TJD, to ask Kuminga to play perfect basketball in his third year and the first year, really, in which he's seen extended minutes, is pretty unfair.
So let's play this out, okay? And no one, 99.9% of Warrior fans want Steph Curry on the team, and they'll move heaven and earth around him to keep him here. Hypothetically, and you brought up San Antonio after Duncan and whatnot. They did go to the playoffs a couple of times, I believe. Once with DeMar DeRozan, correct, and one time with Kawhi, right?
Yeah, they made the Western Conference Finals with Kawhi.
Not the same success. We would agree. But right now, like, this Warrior version is the 10th seed. Yeah. Might be the 11th seed.
They're the 19th best team in the entire NBA.
Okay.
19th best team.
All right. So they're like scratching and clawing to just get to where they are right now. So, like, getting to the second round would be an upgrade, is where I'm going at with this.
Right.
And then I look at LeBron. When LeBron has left a place, it hit Cleveland hard for a couple years. But I look at Cleveland now, and I'm like, Cleveland's in a pretty good spot.
Right.
And they've done a good job. Miami, when LeBron left Miami, yes, there were the Dion Waiters, Hassan Whiteside years. They've been to two finals since LeBron left, which is kind of crazy.
They haven't won it yet, though.
No doubt.
And they were able to do
make
some shrewd moves.
Different, yeah, and I know, doubt. But like,
no doubt. But
I hear you on not winning. But like, if you're a real old school Warrior fan, we were kind of accustomed to not winning championships.
No doubt. But
there are different versions.
I see someone from the 408 coming at me here about dynasties, and it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that the Warriors have lasted over a decade
is one of the greatest runs ever.
In a salary cap league, where movement is limited in terms of trying to bring star players, they've dominated for over a decade. Like, I get the Spurs, they never won back-to-back, the San Antonio Spurs. They never went back-to-back during that run.
Which is
They
crazy.
won 5 championships, but they never went back-to-back. But, like, when the Lakers traded Shaq. They're a first-round team, and they struggled. Once they grabbed Nash and Dwight Howard, it was like, oh, boy, Gasol's moved on. It's over. All I'm saying is no matter how long they last, dynasties, the end game is not always pretty. And right now, it doesn't look pretty for the Golden State Warriors.
No.
Being the 19th best team in the NBA and the 10th best team in the Western Conference, where you're fending off the Houston Rockets. Nobody had that on their bingo card. So what do you do this offseason?
So let me pick a team just in sports that I view as a high-level team that finds a way to regroup and doesn't win it all every year. Like, I look at the St. Louis Cardinals, and I think they operate the way I would want, as a fan, of the way I would want to operate. They're in on everyone, right? And then baseball's so different, but they're in on everyone. They have no problem reloading. They have no problem drafting and developing, and they're always in the mix. That doesn't mean that they always win. They just had their worst season in like 30 years last year, okay? I look at the Miami Heat in basketball. I always feel like the Miami Heat find talent, develop talent, but to your point, yeah, they haven't won the big one.
But they do find talent.
And it does feel like they're in the mix.
They find a way to be competitive. They find a way to be competitive at a high level.
Right?
And that's all I would want.
No, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't know what they're going to look like post-Steph, but if you told me they modeled themselves after organizations like that, like the Green Bay Packers, they just moved off of Aaron Rodgers. Right. Most people thought the Packers were done.
Right. They get a little success in the playoffs. You win the game. You play the Niners tough, and now you got some young talent here.
Now,
they've done a great job, but they've done a great job over the years of maintaining a competitive roster. The New England Patriots, life after Tom Brady, how's that working out?
Not good.
They went to the playoffs in 1 year, and now you're on a different coach and a different quarterback and different personnel.
Well, they're starting fresh.
They're starting over. But that's what happens when dynasties are over, basically.
No doubt.
They start fresh.
The end of the Yankees. Like, think about that. The end of the Red Sox. They had a couple of really bad years.
Right.
You know?
Post Bonds was rough for the Giants.
Well, thank God they had Lincecum, because that was a draw. But you're right.
But it was like a 3-4 year period where it was like, oh, Giants baseball. Yikes. And all of a sudden you could get a seat in the bleachers for $10.
Yeah.
Just like that. So all I'm saying is it doesn't always end pretty. What's the best way to reloading here and becoming a competitive team? Because, again, Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. They've got like 9 guaranteed first-round picks over the next 5 years.
And can we all acknowledge, like, whether you think Lakeup is the smartest person who's ever been around or, you know, or something in the middle, he's not an idiot.
No.
We're not going back to the Cohan era. I think Warrior fans need to acknowledge that.
No.
Now, it's very difficult to draft and to develop in the NBA. And yes, Bonte, you could plausibly miss on draft pick after draft pick after draft pick and be bad for 3 or 4 years. But to act like we will be incompetent, because that's what we were before. We were incompetent. We're not incompetent.
No.
You got to trust the leadership to some degree. It doesn't mean they're going to replicate the last dynasty.
Right.
What you just saw was generational. We might not ever see that in any sport.
No, we may not. But you know one thing about the Lakers and Dunleavy is they will be aggressive.
That's what I'm saying.
That's one thing. And I could live with an aggressive owner knowing that when it comes to the big names or when it comes to bringing in talent or building or having a competitive roster, these guys are going to try to do that.
I agree.
They're going to be aggressive and try to accomplish that. They're not going to get every decision right. Like the Kelly Oubre Jr. thing, I know they took a lot of heat for that move. I like the move. Klay Thompson was announced that he was out for the season. They were trying to get back into the playoffs. We got to pivot. Who's out there? Well, let's get the best available 2 or 3 guard out there. Let's get Kelly Oubre Jr. Now, it didn't work out. It was a bad fit. But they swung big. Would you rather him swing for that type of move or just stand pat? Because he would have got crushed by steady pat. They're getting crushed for steady pat for this past deadline where there was nothing really available for them. That would have made them better. That would have catapulted them to the top of the Western Conference. So, life, you may have to have that conversation this summer. You're the 10th best team right now in the Western Conference, Shasky, the 19th best team in the NBA. Something's got to shake. Something's got to shake.